All right, good. Well, Ravi, you and I were here last year as well,
Yes.
and a lot has happened with Catawiki in the past year. You took the company from burning about almost 20 million a year to profitability.
Yes.
How did you do that?
Well, it's a long story, and let me see how I can crunch it in next 2 minutes. So we were like a typical startup, trying to focus on just one KPI, that was growth, because we had raised a big round, we had a lot of money in the bank, and the pressure was on the team to kind of just grow and grow the business. So we lost sight of the other KPIs on sustainability, on lifetime value of customers, cost of acquisition, etc. So what we did was, in the last year, we kind of restructured the business. What we realized that once you grow more than 100 people, you need to keep a very close eye on the org structure. Are people able to work together? So we reorganized the company on category lines. We got product and tech front and center of the business. We started focusing on sustainable KPIs like lifetime value of customer, acquisition cost, profitable geographies, profitable categories. And along the way, we kind of figured out the right mix of which areas we can operate in, which areas we need to defocus on, how many people we need in the business. And we did not lose the core grain of our business model, which was online auction of curated special objects. So that was the part we kept intact, and we kind of changed everything around it. And now we are not only profitable, but we are growing at 30% plus year on year. So that's the icing on the cake after this entire journey of last 1 year.
So one of the elements you kind of bring there is to say a reorganization where people first start functionally specializing, and now you're bringing them together under the leadership of category managers. In doing that, how do you deal with decision making, smaller groups, and still feeling everyone kind of informed and involved?
Yes, I think that was the challenging part. So once we build the organization on category-driven structures, we have got 4 super clusters: collectibles, art and antiques, luxury, and mobility. But we also have horizontal functions like product and tech, marketing, HR, and finance. So what we do is we take the 3 core business functions, which is marketing, product and tech, and the category teams. We get the 3 of them together, and all 3 of them are aligned on the same KPIs for every quarter, every month, and almost every week. So they have a 6-month view, which is aligned. They have a quarter view, and they have a monthly and weekly view, which is aligned. Once these 3 teams start coming together and start working in sync, and they almost meet on a weekly and a monthly basis to start doing that, then almost that nucleus kind of gets everybody around you to work on the same things and in the same way, and the prioritization kind of always is dynamic between them. So that's how we managed it. It was kind of tricky in the beginning to get people just to come, I'm marketing, why should I always listen to what product is trying to do? So that's where we kind of broke some of the silos and got everybody to move in sync.
And how do you then do that at the top of the organization?
So again, we simplified our management team structure. So we kind of reduced some levels over there and reduced some people over there to kind of get a strong commercial function, a strong product and tech function, and they became the business functions. I kind of double-headed for a time for marketing, so I kind of drove some of the marketing initiatives through these 2. So this group of 3 people at the top, which was always in sync, helped us get all this done through these. So if you have more than like 4 or 5 people, it starts to kind of become a bit tough.
And how do you make sure the layer below that is then still involved?
So we created a team called leadership team. This was the next group below the management team, which was about 30, 40 people in the company. This group, again, we defined and we got them together on every decision making. Every month we had meetings with this group, and they became the bridge between strategy and execution for us. So the cadence with that group and the formation of that group itself kind of gave us a big tailwind into execution some of our plans.
Great. So you mentioned marketing and your own kind of background as a marketeer, from an early kind of Flipkart manager to kind of now at Catawiki. I've seen a lot of companies optimize performance management, performance marketing a lot.
Yeah.
But you bring a view around brand marketing as well.
Yes. I think that's the fine balance. I see a lot of tech companies, and including the companies that I have worked for in the past, get stuck into this notion that since we are an online company, and our audience is online because it's an internet product, then our entire marketing can be just the digital marketing around Facebook, Google, and the performance marketing channels. It works to an extent. So once you're starting from small to a certain size of the company, let's say $10 million or $50 million business size, it works to some extent. But after a point of time, people need to know who you are and what you stand for and what you deliver in the long run, which is different from the other guys. Some of the performance marketing channels aren't ideal for this kind of communication and this kind of clarity to the consumer. And if consumers are not getting that clarity, it always becomes a transaction. So as long as you give them a value in the transaction, they are with you. And as soon as they find value in somebody else, they will immediately switch to that person. So brand building has to go hand in hand with performance marketing to make sure that consumers are not in a pure transactional relationship with you, but in a slightly more deeper relation. They understand what you're trying to do for them in the long run.
And is that hard to kind of bring that into the marketing organization?
I would say not. If you have somebody at the top who kind of is trying to drive this with clear vision and strategy, it's not too difficult. And it's not just about TV marketing. So brand marketing is often confused with going on TV and doing a big campaign. That's not the case. You need to be clear about what your brand identity is and what your brand benefits are. And if you're very sharp about it, you can actually communicate it in almost every touch point that the customer has. So it doesn't require you to necessarily mount a big campaign to get your brand across. It needs to be put into every touch point at every part of your product. So that's how we did it, and we are reaping now the benefits. So our marketing spend has come down by 40-50%, and our acquisition has grown by 30%. So we have seen benefits on both sides.
Clearly. And you mentioned earlier on you were driven, or the company was driven just on growth. And now you started being much more subtle about KPIs that are important. So what other kind of elements really play into your success?
I think we defined something called contribution margin. That became one of the key drivers. So how we define contribution margin is there is a top line growth that's happening. So your GMV and the commission that we earn as a business. From there, we deduct the cost of getting that number. So that cost is essentially all your marketing cost, all the cost of people who are making the sale happen. So it's all our experts. So we have 200 experts who curate every object before it goes online. We have the customer service team that answers. So these are costs that scale with the business. So if you do more volume, these costs grow. So we defined this KPI called top line minus all the costs that scale with business as contribution margin. And then we started steering all the categories on top line and contribution margin. And that's how we kind of started building that discipline of making sure that you remain sustainable as you drive growth in the business.
And was it hard for people to make that adjustment, or was it very natural?
No, it was pretty hard in the beginning.
Why?
Because for 2 to 3 years, or almost 3 years plus, we were steering on one big KPI, and we thought that if our growth is less than 50%, then we are not doing well in the business. So while we were trying to say, or while we were trying to communicate to people, our contribution margin has grown by 300%, it's grown by 600%, people still saw the top line number and said, oh shit, we are not really there. So that became one of the key mindsets to change in the business, that guys, it's not just the top line, you also need to make sure that we are looking at this number, and if the combination is healthy, then we are doing a great job. That took almost 6 months to kind of get through into the organization.
Yeah. So now you're there. Now you're at the point where, as a profitable company, you control your own destiny.
Yeah.
What is the destiny?
So now that we are not only, because profitability could have been just cutting cost and arriving at a green number, right? So that's not it. So we are still growing at 30%. So to me, the current trajectory, if we can maintain the growth and the shape of the business that we have got, then we will be doubling the size of our business in the next 3 years. So that takes us from 300 million plus GMV to about 600, 700 million plus GMV. And that puts us on track to earn the unicorn tag, if I do my calculations on the ratios and they are right. So we will soon be, in next 4 years, we will be a business that would be double the size it's right now, with healthy profitability, and probably we'll be one of the unicorns in Europe very soon.
And underlying, where do you see business opportunities?
So we see opportunities on both category expansion. As I said, we have 4 super clusters. Within the 4 super clusters, we can add more categories as we speak. And second is geography expansion. we are still over-indexed on Netherlands because we started the business in Netherlands, and we are over-indexed on Benelux versus some of even the countries like Italy, Spain, Germany, UK in Europe. So we can actually triple our business in these countries if we just apply the ratio of the business we do in Netherlands to the internet population of Netherlands. So there is opportunity on both sides, the category side and the geography side, to go in Europe and beyond. Then we want to go to Asia, build a large business there. We may want to go to the West, to Americas, to build a large business there. So there's plenty of opportunity right now.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you, Michiel.
All
Pleasure
right.
talking there.
Thanks.